Abandoned by the very people he devoted his entire life to, Shifeng drinks away his sadness and falls asleep. Waking up the next day, he realizes that he has gone back 10 years. Given a second chance, he won't be nobody's scapegoat this time around. In the year 2100, technology has evolved by leaps and bounds that were previously unheard of. In particular, technology to prolong one's life, and more importantly, their youth has become incredibly advanced. So no crazy eyes, that's a relief. With the rise in the average human's lifespan thanks to this new level of technology, there also came the desire to keep one's body fit for as long as possible. What's the point of living for extra long if you're stuck in a wheelchair? Am I right? To satisfy this desire, fitness training has gained more and more popularity than ever before in human history. You'll be hard-pressed to find someone who isn't completely into maintaining their body's health and physical capability in this time. As fitness training gained popularity with the rise of this tech, so too, in turn, did another field rise up. The virtual reality game known as God's Domain, a game which virtualizes the player's real-life actions into the world of the game. Before anyone even knew it, God's Domain rose to the rank of most popular game in the whole world. With this incredible rise in the player base and popularity of the game, its monetizability skyrocketed as well. Studios within the game were established. So like the cooler version of esports, these studios were each an organization in and of themselves. As such, they all had their own value in the stock markets. Share values, shareholders, investments, returns, dividends. All of that economic mumbo-jumbo. Now, with the boring history lesson over, let's jump into our real story. The story of a man caught up in this world who faces challenges he never could have seen coming. The story of Shifeng. The year is 2139. Shifeng is one of the most distinguished and high-ranked God's Domain players in the world. Working in the Nether Shadow studio, he's put years of effort into raising the studio's status, fame, wealth, and power as much as possible. I'm sure they all appreciate him very much, right? So one day they trick him into having his game account deleted and terminating his contract with them. Oh, never mind. They're assholes. Shifeng sits in his mansion, drunk off his butt as he rages at the betrayal he suffered. Right as he decides to start all over again, a strange music starts playing around him. The next thing he knows, he's fallen unconscious. Waking up the next morning, Feng receives a phone call from Hey Z, an old friend of his. After speaking to Hey, Feng's surprised to learn that today is the day he and his friend first tried to join Nether Shadow. He's come back in time a whole 10 years. The year is 2129. Shifeng is an average student, with his knowledge of the future and a determination to change his fate. He tells Hey Z that they'll make their own studio. Nether Shadow can go to hell. Hey points out they don't have anywhere near enough resources to afford their own studio. Feng, however, knows everything there is to know about the game. The two of them will start a 10-day trial of God's Domain. In those 10 days, Feng will get everything they need to start their own studio. With his knowledge of the game, they can breeze through it starting from the moment it goes online. So like Feng's kinda just Kiriko on steroids, didn't he? After securing a headset to enter the virtual world of God's Domain, Feng boots up the game. Inside, he finds the character creation area and chooses all his traits. Game name, Yi Feng. He changes his appearance as well to make sure nobody learns his real-life identity. In this world, he's a swordsman and will start out in Red Leaf Town, which is in White River City. This is a location full of resources and experience to grind with minimal foreign guilds to fight. Yeah, because the protagonist totally gets to take it easy. After spawning in Red Leaf Town, Feng puts his first attribute points into his stats. For every level a player rises, they get 4 attribute points. Knowing better from his past life, Feng puts his points into agility instead of strength. As a swordsman, his attack speed is the most important part of his short-range fighting style at the beginner level. Next, he receives a call from Hei, who has chosen the name Hei Yun. Although he spawns 7 hours away, Feng tells him to come join him in Red Leaf. While everyone else is grinding, he has his own way of raising their levels. He knows the location of the only mission, a mission that only appears once in the server and disappears forever after completion. A mission that can save the player 10 years worth of hard work. Pretty convenient. Little too convenient even. Hei agrees to come over but wants to know how Feng knows all this. Before he can answer, Hei comes up with his own theory. Feng must be in contact with a beta tester who already has info on the game. Well, yes, even the writers embracing the resemblance to Kiryu. Going over to an NPC sitting on the roadside, Feng activates the quest to kill Reed Leaf's mayor. Over in the town hall, Feng finds the mayor assigning beginners missions to players to help them grind XP. Aw, what a nice old man. Fang throws a tomato at him, and he turns into a bloodthirsty monster trying to kill him. Alright, maybe not that nice. To understand Fang's plan, we go back 10 minutes, outside the town hall. Fang trades some info with a player for 10 coppers, the currency of God's domain. Using these coppers, he buys a bunch of tomatoes, which makes the surrounding players ridicule him. Because duh, virtual food, of course they'll make fun of him for buying that. But inside the town hall, back in the present, the purpose of the tomatoes is revealed. Firstly, the mayor is too high of a level for Fang to defeat himself. Secondly, attacking him would count as a rule violation since he's an NPC. This would cause the game's guards to arrest him. However, by throwing the tomatoes at him, Fang got the mayor to attack him first. By blocking an attack from the mayor, he's able to reveal his true identity, a wolf man. As the monster begins attacking Fang and the other players, the very guards he did this to avoid arrive. And just like Fang planned, they attack the mayor to protect the players. Seeing this, the other players are spurred to attack as well. If the guards are fighting the mayor, then surely they'll get some rewards for helping them, right? Wrong. After the mayor is killed, they find 0 XP or loot drops to be gained. Even worse, there's no one to assign beginner missions anymore. Over in an alley outside, Fang stands with a grin on his face. The only mission has been completed. As a reward, he's gained the special item, Mayor's Badge. After completing the only mission, Fang returns to the NPC who first assigned it to him. When Fang reaches him, the NPC starts blabbering his gratitude to him. As a reward for completing the mission, he hands Fang a small chest. A system pop-up comes up to inform Fang of what exactly his rewards are. Not only has he just gotten a full 2,000 XP, but also 20 mastery points and a luxury accessory box. Though he's confused about why the rewards he's gotten are so much more valuable than he expected. Fang isn't one to look a gift horse in the mouth. Smartest protagonists are seen in a while. Then, out of the chest comes a ring of gravity, a special item that gives its wearer the ability to reduce gravity on themselves for 30 seconds. Though the cooldown is 5 minutes long, this ability can greatly boost Fang's high-speed swordsman combat style. Along with the ring, he increases his agility stat further up to the level of an assassin and puts all of his mastery points into one-handed swordsmanship. With his basic skills already reaching abnormally high levels, Fang decides to get some skills. The method for getting these is through skill books, and the quickest way to get one is to beat the Goblin Challenge. Couldn't come up with a better name than that. Fang arrives at the challenge arena where the Goblin Challenge is held. A challenge where a player must dash forward 30 full yards while under attack by goblins unharmed. Plus, after the first 15 yards, the goblins get extra ruthless and change up their attack patterns. And if that wasn't already bad enough, here's another kicker for you. In the arena, players' stats are all reset to 10 points and they can't use any special skills. Yeah, totally fair and balanced. As he enters, Fang sees a familiar face trying the challenge himself. Heartstabber, one of the future top 10 assassins in all of God's domain. Here and now in the past, though, he's kind of pathetic. After swindling Heartstabber into owing him 50 coppers, Fang prepares to take on the Goblin Challenge himself. Heartstabber's minions are confident that Fang's some clueless newbie who's going to get his ass handed to him. After all, he has to be to have spoken to Heartstabber the way he did. Besides, their boss hasn't even made it past 20 yards yet, so Fang can't have a chance. Right? Oh boy, who's gonna tell them? With a determined look on his face, Fang waits for the shot that signals the start of the challenge. As soon as the round fires, he's off. As the challenge begins and Fang races forwards, the goblins begin attacking. Fang's able to dodge all the bullets shooting at him from their primitive guns. Over from the viewing area, Heartstabber's men are in awe of his speed and skill. One of them even admits that he's faster than Heartstabber in his excitement. Meanwhile, the squad leader himself tries to justify what he's seen to himself. This man must have been an athlete or something before the game. That's the only reason he could be doing better than him. Keep telling yourself that, bud. Salty ass. Though he makes these claims out loud, Heartstabber internally observes Fang's moves. It's clear that he's no newbie. The movements he's making are clear signs of someone who's far superior in every way possible. Someone with great experience. But even so, he'll definitely lose after the 15-yard mark. No way he'll actually be that good, right? Sensing a theme with these guys underestimating Fang here. Just like Heartstabber expected, the second Fang hits the 15-yard mark, the goblins bring out much more advanced weapons. What seem to be multi-chambered revolvers that are also kind of like hand cannons. Don't even ask, it's a game. Doesn't have to make sense. The creatures start shooting at Fang with a renewed brutality of sorts, determined to rip him to shreds. Heartstabber's underlings watch on as Feng keeps rushing forwards despite this, right into the wall of bullets coming his way. They're pretty sure he's an idiot who doesn't realize he'll lose if even a single bullet touches him. Yes, he's a newbie after all. Definitely not a living hack with 10 years of future memories. But to all their surprise, Feng simply pulls out his sword and slices each and every bullet that's in his way. They can't even believe he's human anymore. Seriously, what the hell? As Feng reaches the 25-yard mark, even Heartstabber is left in pure amazement. This man, somehow he can predict the game's actions even when the servers just come online. Starting to like this guy, Heartstabber yells out a warning and he sees something worrying. The goblins have brought out their final weapon, a huge minigun. They don't plan on letting anyone win this challenge. Right as all seems lost, Feng goes against the odds and slices apart every single one of the minigun's bullets. He shoots forward, and he destroys the weapons themselves in a massive explosion. As things calm down, the goblins can be seen cheering for Feng. He's completed the challenge and broken the press-it record. He only took 14 seconds. Could have sworn it felt longer than that. Oh well. Anyways, with the challenge cleared, Feng receives the skill Tempest Lightning Flash. With a cooldown of 30 seconds, this skill allows him to shoot out 3 light sword attacks in 2 directions. At the same time, it boosts the damage of its next use, as if he didn't already have enough of an advantage. Reminding Heartstabber of the coppers he owes, Feng steps out of the arena. The sword skill obtained and the only mission completed, he's finally ready to go out and grind XP the old-fashioned way. Merciless mass murder of monster. Ahem. Apologies. Monster hunting is what I meant. Ready to grind levels, Feng heads to the Red Leaf Forest where all the monster hunting takes place. Unfortunately, there are already so many groups grinding here that there's not really any room for him to join. Sure, he could just steal their prey, but nah, he's too lazy for that. Did I read that right? Yeah, he's too lazy apparently. So instead he goes to a much higher difficulty area to hunt stronger monsters. What the hell happened to being lazy? In a deeper part of the forest, he finds a herd of bears. Unfortunately, their defenses are too high for Feng to beat just yet. He's speed-based at the moment after all. Not enough points in his strength. Heading away from the bears, he sees a forest wolf that'll be easier for him to beat. It's got high speed and attack power, but as long as it's alone, he can totally take it. He just has to hope there isn't a wolf nest nearby. Had to jinx it, didn't you, Feng? The ground under his boot collapses and he falls right at the entrance of, you guessed it, a wolf nest. Feng knows he doesn't stand a real chance with how greatly he's outnumbered, so he flees. As the wolves chase behind him, he uses his gravity ring to boost his speed and get the hell away from them. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, Feng ends up in the middle section of the mountain when he loses the wolves. An area that's recommended for level 6 players only. An area that also holds a silver reward chest. Naturally, Feng decides to take it on. Not one for caution after all, is he? He comes to a waterfall that's only supposed to be climbable with the hidden skill Leap. Feng being Feng, though, decides to cheat his ass off. Using his gravity ring once more, Feng uses his skills to jump up to the top of the waterfall, and then he immediately gets attacked by a huge golem. Man, he really can't catch a break. As the level 5 golem roars at Feng, he pulls out an item that he specifically brought to deal with such an enemy, a burst berry. An item that massively reduces the target's speed, with the golem practically going in slow motion now. Feng uses the chance to slice the crap out of him repeatedly. Thanks to its high health, he can just keep repeating this to increase his slash proficiency as well before killing it. Never mind what I said before, he's totally cheating. After defeating the golem, Feng is pleased to find he got a pretty decent equipment dropped from it. Suddenly, some bats fly out from a nearby cave. Curious to see what's inside, Feng heads into the dark, quiet, frankly creepy cave. Has he never seen a horror movie? Inside the cave, he finds a massive rock monster in a state of hibernation. This is Thuros, the level 6 elite monster. Feng, as always, decides he can totally take this thing. He's just that guy. And so, he slashes forth with a bunch of attacks at Thuros. They do absolutely nothing to the monster. Shock. Awakening from his slumber at the sudden attack, Thuros turns to Feng and prepares to attack. He leaps forward at the player with his fists raised. Luckily, Feng gets out of the way of his punch just in the nick of time. He's certain he can beat Thuros with his speed advantage despite the monster's high HP. All he has to do is chip away at his HP little by little. Except that doesn't work. Elite monsters like Thuros regenerate 2% of their HP every 5 seconds. Apparently, Feng forgot about that. How the hell do you forget something that important? Since his normal attacks aren't doing nearly enough damage to actually stick, Feng decides to use the Tempest Lightning Flash to take Thuros down. Little by little, he starts doing damage that's actually effective despite Thoreau's healing. Suddenly, a wave of energy erupts from Thoreau's body, and he slams his fists into the ground to cause what seems to be an earthquake. Feng is concerned. This means he's already at the stage where the boss is using AoE skills. But as the dust from his attack clears, there's finally some good news for Feng. Thoreau's has entered the fatigue state, a state bosses fall into after using an ultimate attack that greatly reduces all of their stats and makes it easier to kill them. Feng wastes no time in seizing this chance in front of him. He leaps forward, pierces one of Thoreau's eyes, slashes the crap out of one of his legs, and does a ton of damage to his body. Despite all this, though, Thoreau suddenly vanishes from his position and appears directly behind Feng. With a mighty swing of his fist, he blows Feng straight into a wall. Beaten to near death, Feng is left with a single point of HP. If he hadn't blocked at the last moment with his sword, he would already be dead. He rises up once more even as he's spitting out blood from his battered body, in a last-ditch resort to win. Feng combines his gravity ring and the Tempest Lightning Flash to do massive damage to Thoreau's body. Flying behind the Golem boss, he then unleashes his very final attack. With everything he has in him, he shoots his sword forward like a spear. Flying true, it pierces Thoreau's body from behind and comes out his front, leaving behind a gaping hole in his body. With Thoreau's defeated, Feng prepares to do the thing that may be the most important part of any and every RPG game to exist: loot the shit out of his beaten enemy. He gets a whole new set of great equipment, so that's awesome. He can finally look the part of the dripped-out badass main character. But what's even more incredible is the skill book Thoreau's dropped. Not only does Feng meet all the requirements to learn the skill, but it's a pretty damn good one too. Parry, the ability to block the damage of any incoming attack. With a cooldown of 30 seconds, it's pretty much perfect for a swordsman like himself. After learning the parry skill, Feng heads out once more. Following a rough journey, he arrives at the peak of the mountain. When he gets there, though, he's surprised to find a thick fog covering the area. This isn't something he remembers from his past life. Suddenly, a blood-red system notification pops up. Feng's triggered a hidden mission that'll cut him off from the outside world till he completes it. The mission, he has to figure it out himself. There's zero guidance on what he has to do. Feng notes that he heard of a silver chest being discovered here, but never anything about a hidden mission. If what he thinks is true, this is a unique mission that'll never appear again once he's done with it. Hell yeah, this is so cool. Feng decides to take on the mission. Worst case scenario, he dies, right? There's something disturbing about that sentence. After investigating the abandoned village at the peak, Feng is angered by the lack of information. There isn't even an NPC here to help him out. Not a single one. Deciding to get a better view of his surroundings, he heads onto the top of a building and gets some clue as to what his aim is here. When he reaches the roof, he sees the fog from before is finally dispersing. And over in the distance, he can see something that wasn't visible before. A magician tower. Not suspicious at all, should definitely go check that out. Heading to the tower, Feng enters and notes that it's just as empty as outside. At least it is at first. Suddenly, an old wizard appears before him. This wise man reveals their location is none other than Sky City, the background setting of God's domain itself. While Feng ponders on how it's possible for the city to be here, the old man begins to speak. He wishes to help Feng become stronger and offers him a test. Before he can even begin to explain it, though, Feng instantly decides to go ahead and show his trademark arrogance. It's kinda endearing, honestly. He asks the old man to give him the hardest level possible for the test. As a Reborn player, he can't accept trying anything less. Laughing in joy at his attitude, the old man reveals the test conditions and vanishes from the area. Feng must face off against 1,000 of the same level monsters for a duration of 4 hours. Either he can defeat half of these monsters within the time, or he dies and loses 10 points from each of his attributes. Well, there's the consequence of that arrogance. Outside the tower, scores of Nether Spirit warriors begin to spawn and race towards Feng's location. Despite his arrogance or confidence depending on your view, Feng knows even he can't take on all those monsters at once with his current level. So he comes up with a strategy to make the task of dealing with them easier for himself. By positioning himself on the tower's main staircase, he can take the monsters 2 at a time. Any more than that won't fit together on the stairs. Using this tactic, Feng's easily able to take down huge chunks of the attacking hordes. First 40, then 90, then 150, all the way up to 400. He manages to use this strategy and breeze through the test. However, once he kills his 400th enemy, a twist presents itself. Of course it does. Things can never be easy, can they? The last 100 enemies Feng has to face include Spectre Assassins, a class of monsters that are agile enough to skip the stairs completely and jump to his position from behind. Even though they manage to do some damage to Feng, he's quick to collect himself. Fast as they may be, the assassins are fairly weak and easy to beat. He'll just have to tough out his last 100 opponents. And he does just that, because main character Power Baby, no, but for real, he uses every bit of skill he's got to finish the test. Jumping off the walls one after the other, he leaps at his opponents like a vicious animal and slashes them all to bits. When he finally finishes the test, the old man from before reappears. For finishing the mission, Feng has received not only an incredibly rare gold chest, but also a title, 1,000 to 1. This title allows him to boost all allies with a 30-meter radius of himself and increases some of his own stats as well. Before Feng can ask the wizard any of the questions he wants to, he disappears. Poof, whoosh, gone, vanished. Feng calls out for him, but, well, a portal appears and drops him face first into the street back in Red Leaf Town. Though he's annoyed, Feng quickly collects himself and decides to get somewhere private. He can't risk the gold chest he's worked so hard for getting stolen after all. After heading into a quiet alley, he goes ahead and opens the chest. When he does, a blinding light shines forth from within and stuns him. From within the chest, Feng receives a magical weapon known only as Abyssal Blade. Though magic weapons are well known for being incredibly powerful, they're also equally dangerous to any wielder who isn't fully prepared for the backlash they give. If a wielder isn't careful, their whole account can be crippled by binding with such a weapon. For once, thank the heavens, Feng decides to play it safe and not bind with the sword just yet. For now, his priority is learning from the skill books that were inside the chest as well. The records of potions and the book of forging. Deciding to learn forging first, Feng thinks of the Dark Moon Valley. There, he knows of a quest that allows one to become a forger for free. On top of that, grinding levels will be easy too since it's an area full of plenty of strong monsters. However, Feng is a little underprepared for the dangerous journey of becoming a blacksmith at the moment. To remedy this, he decides to set up in town square and sell all the equipment he's not using anymore. It'll be a good way to make some quick cash and prepare for his journey. As he puts his goods out on display for sale, all the players in the area are stunned by the high quality and level of the items. Unlike Feng, who has been out there since the moment the server launched, none of them have even come close to earning the kind of equipment he's selling. Hell, he's even got bronze level items. Sounds like they all need to get off their butts and do something. While haggling with a potential customer, Feng receives a video call from Z. Turns out the poor kid's been looking everywhere for Feng while he's been out grinding. Feeling bad, as he should, Feng tells He to come meet up with him in the town square so they can go grind together. Suddenly, the crowd at Feng's stall is parted by a large man equipped with a battle axe. This is Flaming Tiger, a squad leader of Shadow. The organization Feng was betrayed by in his previous life. Bet he bullied him too. As he lays eyes on the hulking man, Feng thinks back on how Flaming Tiger used to use him as a disposable pawn back in the early days of his old life. Called it. Showing a level of arrogance and ego that only the stupidest of meatheads can have, Tiger demands that Feng sell all of his items to him for a single silver. What a nice man, making such a reasonable offer. Kill him, Feng, kill the fool. When Feng refuses his offer, Flaming Tiger displays an intense level of rage. Guess he's not used to being denied. Spoiled douchebag. Just as he's about to attack, which he can't even actually do since towns are a safe zone. Damn idiot. A familiar face arrives to defuse the situation. Heartstabber, the Assassin's League squad leader from the Goblin Challenge Arena. Stepping towards Feng's stall, he makes a much more reasonable offer than Tiger. Feng happily accepts and even tells him he doesn't have to pay back the 50 coppers he owes after all. They should here become friends. Just then, Heiji finally arrives. The boy is overjoyed to finally find Feng. Seeing his companion has arrived, Feng instantly ditches the assassins and heads towards Hei. Well, can't say he's not loyal to his friend at least. While Heartstabber sighs in disappointment of not being able to talk more with Feng, the swordsman himself has a conversation with Hei. As they walk, Feng explains his plan to go to Dark Moon Valley for their grinding. Hei, on the other hand, is very hesitant about that. Dark Moon Valley is home to level 4 monsters. How could the two of them possibly make it through that place? Oh kid, if only you knew. Though he's worried, Hei trusts Feng, so he follows him anyways when told to. Back in the town square, Flaming Tiger has a face of absolute rage, although honestly, I'd say he just looks kinda constipated. Turning to an underling, he tells the man, Quiet Wolf, to go spy on Feng. They're going to make him pay for insulting Shadow. Bro, he just said no to you. Grow up. Feng and Hei head to the Dark Moon Valley to grind some XP. Hei is hesitant since the valley is home to high-level monsters. He points out that even 3-man teams only grind against level 1 monsters. The valley they're going to is home to level 4 monsters, and they're just 2 guys. Turning to his friend, Feng decides to run with the story Hei Z made up as a theory in one of their earlier calls. He tells Hei that he does have a beta tester friend after all. With his info, Feng's more than capable of getting them through whatever may come their way in the valley. Okay, so, not completely a lie, and he's just doing it to calm Hei Z. He's still a good friend. Feng assures him that he's one of the few players in the whole server who have even reached level 2 in the 10 hours since its launch. That's something not even many Studio Elite have managed. The beta tester's info is definitely reliable. Accepting Feng's words, Hei apologizes and falls in line with his bro. Loyalty's pretty wholesome. Unknown to the two, Quiet Wolf is spying on them throughout their journey. At Flaming Tiger's command, he's getting as much info as he can on the both of them. Although, he is pretty confused as to why they're going to such a high-level area. There's no way they actually think they can take it on, do they? So, who's gonna tell him? After some time, they come across a level 2 cunning snow fox. Not only is it a high level, it's a blue-named monster. These are rare elites that drop great rewards. Before Hei can stop him, Feng leaps at the beast, ready to fight. As Feng fights off the fox with his beginner sword, he quickly learns the fox is much stronger than he expected. He's not doing nearly enough damage to it with his basic skills. Calling out to his friend, he yells at Hei Z to attack the damn thing. He tries to provide long-range support with a dark shadow arrow, since he's chosen the spellcaster class. Unfortunately, his attack's too weak as well despite pouring all of his points into magical damage. Hei Z begins panicking from fear, but Feng is quick to assure his friend. He calls out to Hei Z to keep attacking while he draws the fox's attention. Using this tactic, they're able to do a decent chunk of damage to the fox, even bringing it down to about half health. Unfortunately, the fox still manages to overwhelm Feng at close range. From a distance, Quiet Wolf gloats over how he won't even need to bother with killing these guys. Yeah, laugh it up while you can, buddy. Hei watches as Feng is forced on the defense. His sword starts breaking down as the fox continues to bite down on it. As he watches, Hei calls out that this will be Feng's first death. Geez, have some faith, why don't you? Seeing his lack of success, Feng decides to pull out his signature move, Hacks, pulling out a bottle of iron beer. He knocks back the whole thing. Guess the alcoholism came back in time with him. The effect from the beer causes the fox to drop down 2 levels. This makes the fight much easier for Feng. I mean, yeah, it's literally level 0 now. As Feng begins pushing the fox back with a blitz of several attacks, he suddenly senses another threat. After dodging this attack, he sees the shadow member, Quiet Wolf. True to Feng's prediction, the guild's still full of slimy bastards even this early in the game. As the two players face each other, the snow fox undergoes gigantification. Basically just the name, it gets giant and stronger. Quiet Wolf tries to use this to his advantage and corner Feng between the fox and himself. Unfortunately for him, Feng kicks the fox his way, causing him to be eaten. That's pretty sudden. Anyways, he dies and Feng gets some XP after killing the fox. After killing the fox, Feng and Hei Z collect the loot drop rewards from the monster. Feng finds a black wood staff, a weapon that's perfect for a spellcaster/conjurer class player like Hei Z. He offers it to him, but Hei is hesitant to accept since Feng did most of the work in killing the fox. Feng points out though that the staff is useless to him anyways since he's a swordsman. Hei should just take it, and he does. You'd think he would figure that on his own though. While Feng and Hei bond over their win, Quiet Wolf returns to Flaming Tiger. Tiger is infuriated by Quiet Wolf's failure to kill a simple level 2 swordsman. Hey man, you tried. Embarrassed by his defeat and unwilling to show weakness, Quiet Wolf makes up a story to justify his death. He claims he was the one about to kill an elite monster and Feng and Hei ambushed him. They're the ones who stole the loot from the monster. He tells Flaming Tiger which way Feng and Hei are and tells him he can go steal their drops back. Meat-headed moron that he is, Tiger decides to do just that. Meanwhile, Feng and Hei have reached a forge somewhere in the valley. This is the quest Feng had planned to take when he decided to learn the forging skill. After waiting quite a long time for the NPC with the mission to finally interact with them, they trigger the quest. The hidden mission Forge Path, they have to collect 100 meteorite stones and bring them back to the NPC, Master Blacksmith Jack. To get these stones, they have to kill the monsters known as kobolds in the Crimson Star Mines. The recommended level for fighting these is level 4 though, so Hei at the very least is heavily underprepared. Feng, as he always does, pulls some hacks out of his ass to make the quest easy for them. He uses a smoke grenade to hide himself and Hei from the kobolds that drop meteorite stones. From a distance, he has Hei pick them off one by one like a bunch of target practice dummies. He explains that kobolds can only see 25 yards ahead in a smoke cloud thanks to their weak eyesight. From their spot 30 yards away, they can kill them easily without even being seen. With their strategy set, Hei goes on to kill several kobolds without any fear. As they receive their drops, Feng notes that Hei's luck is ridiculously good. Normally, 100 kobolds drop a single meteorite stone, but Hei's killed only a few and already has several stones. Seeing this, he has Hei continue killing tons of kobolds. Together, they each level up with ease and get a bunch of drop rewards. As they're collecting their loot, a hidden attacker suddenly leaps out at Hei. The attackers turn out to be underlings of Flaming Tiger. With their surprise attack, they bring Hei down to less than half his HP. Luckily, he manages to get away without dying. Enraged at the cowardly tactics of the bullies before him, Hei lets loose his newfound power on Quiet Wolf. However, neither of them are expecting just how much damage it does. Quiet Wolf is brought down to critical health with a single dark arrow from Hei. With him now at level 2, his attacks are stronger than ever. At Quiet Wolf's command, the rest of Tiger's underlings leap at Hei. No matter how strong his attacks, he can't beat their sheer numbers. I feel like we're forgetting someone. Right as the minions come towards Hei, they're all sliced into ribbons by Feng in a single attack. Oh yeah, him. As Flaming Tiger reaches the battle with more of his men, he openly ridicules Quiet Wolf for losing. Someone get him a best boss in the world mug. Despite seeing how easily Feng just beat 3 of his men, Tiger decides to jump straight into a fight with him. He's just built different. Feng doesn't stand a chance. Now they obviously know Feng would cook them like a turkey at Thanksgiving, but like he said before, he's lazy. He doesn't want to fight so many players at once if he can avoid it. And so Feng and Hei retreat with a smoke grenade as cover. From a distance, they watch as Flaming Tiger and his men start using the same tactic they did to farm XP from killing kobolds. Though the underlings are hesitant at first, Tiger manages to organize them into a halfway decent strategy for dealing with the kobolds in a way similar to Feng and Hei. Guess he's not 100% stupid, just 99. As the Shadow Studios squad spend time killing and looting, Flaming Tiger daydreams about becoming basically the king of God's domain. At least he's ambitious, I guess. Doomed to fail, though. While he sits back and watches his men do all the work, they even find a rare Swordsman skill book. Over in the distance, Hei can't stand the sight of their enemies benefiting from their methods. He asks Feng if he's really okay with this. However, Feng knows something they don't. Soon enough, they'll regret their actions. True to his words, the smoke from their grenade eventually dissipates, leaving Flaming Tiger and his men open to the kobolds. Well, shit. As the kobolds slaughtered his men, Flaming Tiger alone manages to escape. Well, escape the kobolds at least. He doesn't manage to escape Feng though. Our hero swoops in and makes Tiger eat more shit than a pig in a sewer. He dodges Tiger's attacks back, goads him into attacking and counters again. Have I mentioned Tiger's a complete and utter moron? Yes? Well, I'm saying it again. Finally, Feng kills him off and takes all of Tiger's loot. When Tiger respawns in Red Leaf Town with his level and stats dropped, he starts yelling at his men. As he checks his inventory, he finds one of his most important drops of the day. The rare Swordsman skill book is gone. Angrier than ever, he orders his men to return to Dark Moon Valley so he can kill Feng. Yeah, because that will be even easier now that your levels dropped, won't it? To make matters even worse for Tiger, he receives a video call from the Shadow leader, Zhang. Having heard of the losses suffered by Tiger's squad, Zhang gives him a deadline. If he's not back to level 2 by the time Zhang arrives in Red Leaf, Tiger's out of Shadow. As the video call ends, Tiger does what he's been doing this whole time. He blames it all on Feng and screams his name to the skies. After killing off Flaming Tiger, Hei and Feng are happy to find they got all the loot they need for their mission. Plus, Feng's got a new sword skill called Chasing Wind Sword from the skill book. With this, his speed can be boosted for 3 seconds with a 5-second cooldown. On top of that, Hei even received a 1 in a million drop reward called Star Pyroxene. Yup, definitely has way too much good luck. Once they bring all the required meteorite stones to Blacksmith Jack, Feng receives a system notification. The hidden mission's second part has now begun. He has to kill the Red Star Mine's Kobold Elite Leader, a level 5 monster with the strength of a dungeon boss. an impossible foe for the level he and Hei are at, and he has to beat it within the hour. Nice. Unlike before, Hei shows major confidence in their chances. Their recent wins have really gone to his head. The two went into the mines and go on to kill every kobold that comes onto their path. With most of them gone, the leader finally shows itself. The kobold leader. With constant regeneration and over 2,000 HP. It's going to be a hell of an enemy. Oh, and also, they've got less than 20 minutes left on their mission timer. Just perfect. As Hei and Feng face the kobold leader, Feng reveals they have no choice but to fight. This boss has such high stats that a single hit from its axe will kill them. However, the mission they've activated right now will disappear forever if they don't complete it here and now. And failing it is sure to have major consequences. With no other choice open to him, Feng decides to do something he's been avoiding. He draws the abyssal blade from his inventory and finally accepts to bind with it. Yes, the consequences can be severe, but even low-ranked and new players are able to wield magical weapons to some level. How can he, a reborn top-ranker, not do the same? Accepting the consequences, Feng binds with the abyssal blade. This is an act that cannot be undone at any point. Once his binding completes, Feng's level drops to 0. That can't be right, can it? Hei asks exactly that, but Feng assures him that he's stronger now than before. When the abyssal blade's status window pops up, it's practically a whole wall of text. There's a lot it can do. We'll just be taking the powers one at a time. With their fight finally starting, the kobold leader summons forth a whole new horde of kobolds. As these lesser opponents rush Feng, he tells Hei to watch from a distance while he goes to work. Using his newfound power with the abyssal blade, Feng slashes the entire mob to bits in mere moments. While Hei marvels at his friend's power, the kobold leader finally attacks. With a mighty swing, it cuts straight through Feng and cleaves him in half. Psych, just a clone. Abyssal Blade can do that for some reason. It's a skill called Phantom Kill, allows the user to make a clone with half their power and switch with it anytime. It only lasts for 30 seconds though, and has a 5-minute cooldown, so it's best used in a pinch. Exactly what Feng did. Next, he activates Chasing Wind Sword to lay a flurry of attacks on the kobold leader. Following that, he hits with Wind Tempest Flash and unleashes another frenzy of magical slashes. As Feng's merciless onslaught continues, the kobold leader is soon brought down to less than half of its HP. With its health dropping so low, the kobold leader goes into an enraged state. Its fur turns red and its attack power increases by a full 100%. Feng is still confident though. The thing's strength may have increased, but it's still way too slow to actually hit him. Right then, the monster's attack speed increases by 100% as well. Damn it, Feng, why do you always have to jinx these things? As Feng starts being pushed back, Heizhi shoots a dark arrow of his own, which only does as much damage as one of Feng's normal attacks. That has to be depressing. Even though he did such little damage, the monster instantly turns to Hei and jumps at him. As he prepares to die for the first time, something unexpected happens. The kobold leader is suddenly strung up in a web of crimson-red chains. This is the Abyssal Bind, one of Feng's weapon's skills. It binds the target and decreases their defense by 100% for 3 full seconds. Yeah, okay. That's broken as shit, what the hell. Feng realizes just how good of an opportunity this is and flies forth to attack the monster. With a mighty stab of his blade to the monster's jaw, he knocks it away. Meanwhile, Heizhi runs like a bat out of hell. At this point, he's of no use in this fight anyways. With Feng, things aren't the greatest. Now that Abyssal Bind has ended, he's left to fight both the kobold leader as well as hordes of monsters that it starts summoning. There's only about 2 minutes left on the mission's timer, and the monster knows this. He's trying to buy time. Feng decides he can't afford to play this game with the monster anymore. With how little time he's got left, he has to end this now. This is where his psychic power comes in. A special mental energy assigned to all players. If at any point in their playing, they get too stressed out or exhausted, their psychic energy will drop drastically and they'll be forcibly logged out of the game for their own health. Feng, however, is going to completely ignore this feature, because main character's got a main character. He activates one of his new skills, 9 Dragons Slash. With this, he can create 9 copies of the Abyssal Blade, which each do a portion of the damage the original does. Using these blades, Feng turns the monster hordes summoned by the kobold leader into shish kebabs and turns to the monster itself. Right as he's about to finish things with one last strike, his body gives out. Feng collapses to the floor as system warnings start popping up. His psychic energy has dropped to critical levels. If he goes any further, he will be ejected from the game. Seeing his friend's condition, Heizhi pleads with Feng to just give up and run from here. However, These words spark something in Feng. They remind him of the betrayal he suffered in his past life from the very people he served, the ridicule they offered him, the amount of times he wanted a second chance, and he has that second chance now. So how can he possibly give up? Standing once more, Feng grasps his destiny with his own two hands. He creates a clone the Phantom Kill and shoots straight to the kobold leader side by side with his gravity ring activated. Both fangs pierce the beast's eyes and go on to slash his whole body together. Using his clone as a boost pad, Feng flies high up into the air and looks down upon the kobold leader. With a final leap to end things for good, Feng falls from the sky like a shooting star and stabs a hole clean through the kobold's body. After beating the kobold leader, Feng can once more be seen doing one of the things he does best, looting. One of the items he finds is a skill book for spellcasters/cursemancers. He notes how Hei's good luck is showing itself yet again in their drop rewards, but Hei on the other hand is upset. What's the point of his luck when he's clearly useless to his friend in a fight? Turning to Feng, he asks his help to become a proper and powerful cursemancer so he can actually help out in the future. Feng accepts and proceeds to give Hei some advice. As a beginner cursemancer, he should put a chunk of his points into agility. That'll help him stay safe and increase his casting speed at the same time. Whoever told him to put everything into intelligence alone must have been a moron. Taking the skill book, Hei learns the Evil Whip technique, a skill that can bind a target in a specific spot and do damage to them if they try to escape. Huh, neat. It has a casting time of 3 seconds though, so he has to really master the skill to use it right. After equipping new armor and items from their loot, the two friends head out. When they return to Blacksmith Jack, Feng receives a system notification saying his mission is complete. He's now a basic forging apprentice, though that's not all. As per the mission rewards, he's also gained the talent Forging Genius. When Hei mentions that it sounds like a strong talent, Feng begins to explain it. With this, forging an item grants the forger 2 proficiency points on average. Since 1,000 of these are needed to raise one's forging apprentice rank, this talent can make the grind much easier and less resource-consuming. Hei asks Feng if he'll forge something for the boy. Feng is happy, but he needs to secure a blueprint to actually start forging something. Luckily, the Deathly Forest has plenty of bronze equipment blueprints. There, they can grind levels and get blueprints at the same time. Pretty efficient lad, isn't he? Right as the two are walking out of his forge, Blacksmith Jack suddenly calls out to Feng. He tells them that he can sense a vile curse upon the magic weapon Feng carries. Worse still, the curse has already started causing backlash on its wielder. Well, that was fast. Jack admits that he's never actually held a magic weapon despite his years of experience. He requests to see the Abyssal Blade. Feng easily agrees, seeing no harm in the action. While examining the blade, Jack explains its origins. The Abyssal Blade is the 31st out of 36 famous swords in God's domain. It was forged by the renowned blacksmith Ulysses, using the fang of the Black Dragon King. That fang has granted immense power to the blade. However, it's also placed a terrible curse upon it. Every once in a while, it causes a backlash on the wielder that must be fought off. If the wielder fails to fight it off, their attributes are all permanently halved. So, no pressure then. At Feng's question, Jack tells him there's no way to break the curse. However, he can weaken it somewhat by using a powerful and rare item, a lucky stone. They'll have to work hard and travel far to obtain this. Sorry, what? Oh, the star pyraxene crystal from earlier is a lucky stone. Nice. They hand it over to Jack and the forger gets right to work. Using his skills in the crystal, he forges the curse suppression on the blade with no trouble. Once he hands it over to Feng, he thanks Jack for everything and turns to head out. Outside, Feng receives a message from a player named Lonely Snow. This is the same guy he traded info for coppers at the start of his game. The one whose coppers he used to buy tomatoes. As it turns out, the info Feng gave him helped Snow greatly with leveling up. Now he's with 3 friends and they're looking for extra members to complete their party and enter the Deathly Forest. Feng agrees to this as long as he and Hei Z get priority for any Swordsman and Cursemancer class items that will drop. As the two head towards Lonely and his group, Hei Z asks Feng if they really need other players. Can't they just keep on going with just the 2 of them? Looks like someone's jealous. Feng explains that the Deathly Forest is a party dungeon. Without having the required number of party members, they won't even be able to enter. When they finally reach the entrance to the Deathly Forest, Lonely Snow greets the pair with a smile on his face. He can't thank Feng enough for his advice back then. Unfortunately, his friends don't share this sentiment. When they see Hei and Feng, they instantly zero on the fact that Feng is level 1. Ah shoot, the Abyssal Blade's effects are already biting him in the ass. Annoyed by these low-level players who are demanding priority over 2 whole classes of equipment, Snow's friend asks if they think he's stupid. I mean, kinda yeah, probably. Lonely's friends continue talking down to Feng without any pause to actually think things through. They constantly ask if he has no shame to be making such demands when they'll have to carry him. Feng doesn't want to make a scene, but he's not going to just take all that either. Turning around, both he and Hazy leave the party and move away to make their own. There's no point wasting time on people like this as far as Feng's concerned. As they walk away, Lonely turns and apologizes to his friends. He's going to join Feng and Hazy's party. They try to tell him he's being scammed, but Lonely's determined to stick with Feng and heads his way. After joining the two, Lonely's only further assured he's made the right choice when Hazy pulls out his staff. That thing looks strong as hell. Lonely's friends are still stewing in anger at what they think is Feng's arrogance. One of them, however, notices Hazy's staff and points it out. Then, he mentions that the Cursemancer was actually a level 3 player when they were talking. Information that would have been useful yesterday. Anyone who gets that reference can have a cookie. Showing further how scummy they can be, the guys decide to try and bribe Hazy over to their party. With him as backup, they'll be able to get tons of grinding done. Excited by their absolute genius plan, they send Hazy a message, and he tells them to piss off. Attaboy. As the guys turn to him in anger, Hay just flips them the bird. Unfortunately, the task of recruiting party members isn't going well for Feng, Hay, and Lonely. Everyone who comes by is driven away when they notice Feng's level. Suddenly, all the men in the area practically trample over each other as they race towards the same direction. Zhao Yiru, Xiao Yur, and Bai Qingzhe. The three absolutely gorgeous female players who are in a class of their own have just arrived. While everyone else is in a state of excitement, Feng is struck by terror at the sight of Bai Qingzhe in particular. It would seem he knows her, or he used to, or he's going to. Time travel's confusing. As all the men in the area drool over the three women, Lonely's friends decide to try their luck. Stepping towards the ladies, they offer to merge their parties and take on the dungeon together. With their forces combined, they'll breeze through it with ease. Speaking of breezes, why is the other guy fanning his hair? And why is he posing like that? What is wrong with them? I swear these are the least smooth guys I've seen since myself in middle school. Zhao, who's quite used to dealing with advances like this, tells the guys to piss all the way off. If they even try to put themselves in the same class as her group again, she'll kill them. All around, the rest of the gathered men cheer at this, at least until Zhao turns on them too. Talk about being stupid, geez. Seeing the events unfolding, Feng thinks back on the Zhao of his past life. Back in his time, she once made a whole guild of 10,000 members disband overnight because their master tried to harass her. She doesn't take shit from anyone. At one point, Bai Qingzhe notices Yi Feng. Unlike all the other men, he actually seems to be ignoring her group. She's intrigued by this. Zhao, however, insists that the guy isn't worth her time. He's just some level 1 player who's putting up an act to catch her interest. She's sure of it. After hearing her friend out, Bai decides to completely ignore everything she said and go to Feng's spot anyways. Following behind Bai, Zhao tries to talk down to Feng. She tells him off for coming here despite his low level and gets mad at him when he speaks to Bai. He tells Zhao that he has his own plans for dealing with the forest, annoying her even more. Bai Qingzhe, on the other hand, is much less quick to anger. She observes the equipment both he and Hay are wearing and points it out to her friend. Between that, Hazy's level 3 status, and the really strange sword Feng has, they're definitely not normal or weak. Deciding to switch tracks, Zhao asks Feng how he has a plan for dealing with the forest when nobody's even cleared it yet. Feng uses the same excuse he's been using so far, that he has the info from the beta test. Unlike every other time up until now, though, Bai isn't fooled. She can't say for sure that he's lying, but she can tell something doesn't add up about his explanation. Zhao herself calls him out as well, claiming that he's lying. Damn, can't catch a break today, can he? Feng simply says she's free to believe him or not, but he'll give her a piece of info to prove himself regardless. He explains that the forest monsters aren't even all that dangerous. The true challenge of this dungeon is keeping your path. The forest is full of traps that cut down players one by one, separate them, and make them lose their way. Before they know it, they're completely lost with no hope of getting out of the place. Eventually, they'll off themselves so they can respawn in town and finally be free of the dungeon. After hearing his story, the players nearby all get scared straight and insist that he can't be telling the truth. He can't be, right? Unfortunately for them, Feng's proven to be telling the truth when a group of players suddenly respawns right at the dungeon's entrance. After everything she's seen and heard, Bai Qingzhe is convinced that Feng's help will be a great benefit to them in clearing the dungeon. Stepping towards him, she agrees to join his party. Just like that, Bai, Zhao, and Xiao join up with Feng, He, and Lonely to complete their 6-person party. Though Zhao still believes Feng has ill intentions, she'll follow Bai for now. With their party completed, the 6th step into the portal to the dungeon. As they're going through, Feng gets the choice to pick their difficulty level: normal, hard, or hell. Oh boy, I'm pretty sure we can all guess which one he's going to pick. As they all enter the forest fully, a system pop-up appears to inform them they've chosen the hell difficulty. All rewards and drop rates are increased by 30%, but the penalty for death is doubled. After seeing the notification, Zhao turns to Feng in anger. What the hell is he thinking picking the hardest difficulty? First time? Yeah, he does that. Get used to it. Zhao starts threatening him, but Feng isn't paying any attention to her. Instead, he's focused on reassuring He Zi that he has a plan to get through this. Seeing this, Bag decides to calm down as well and let things play out for now. Lonely asks which way they should go since the forest seems to have tons of possible routes they can follow. Feng is quick to guide them to the right one with his future knowledge. As they walk along their path, Feng thinks about how he knows all that he does. In his original time, the Shadow Guild assigned hundreds of players to the task of exploring the Deathly Forest. Through the combined findings of all those players, they managed to work out a proper map for the place. The forest has a hopping 36 paths that can be followed. However, only 3 of these lead to the first boss instead of being dead ends. Meanwhile, Zhao asks Bai if they can really be sure this is the right path. Bai points out that it has to be, since they've managed to avoid every single monster mob so far. Zhao insists that they wouldn't have any problem with such mobs anyways, but Feng finally speaks up. Those mobs don't drop any useful loot, so it'd just be a waste of time to fight them. Annoyed at being showed up, Zhao claims he probably just wants to avoid a fight so they don't see how weak he is. Sick burn, bro. No, really. Finally, after walking for a solid while, the path they're on opens into a large clearing. This is clearly where the first boss fight is to occur. Strangely enough, though, there's nothing here. Oh, scratch that. There it is. A huge bunny. Well, weirder stuff's happened, I guess. A huge bunny jumps out of the ground itself and stands before the party. This is Wilmy, a chieftain-ranked monster known as a night rabbit. With sharp steel claws on its paws, this boss is always ready for a bloody fight. Prepared for this beforehand, Feng quickly lays out his plan. He wants Lonely to keep the boss' attention on himself no matter what. Since he's their tank, he should be able to handle its attacks while the rest of them work out a way to beat it. At Feng's command, Lonely charges forward to the boss with his sword raised. As Lonely charges forward, Feng suddenly points out he was supposed to wait for Xiao to buff him. Well, shit. He can't stop his charge skill halfway through either, so now he's just flying towards his own death. What a pro-gamer move. Luckily, He Zi jumps in just in time to save him. Using his binding skill, he traps Wilmy while Lonely regains his balance. And then, for some reason, the Meat for Brains tank headbutts Wilmy. I don't think that was part of the plan. He does more damage to himself with that move than the boss and falls to the ground as Xiao works on healing him. Meanwhile, Wilmy breaks out of He's binding skill and prepares to attack. Luckily, Lonely's healed by then and leaps forward to exchange blows with the boss. This time, Feng's actually impressed at how well he's holding his ground. Suddenly, Zhao tells him to get out of the way and fires a massive flame attack at Wilmy. As the pillar of fire engulfs the murderous bunny, she celebrates doing the highest damage so far. Except she wasn't supposed to do that. Boss is gonna be focused on her now. So much for letting Lonely tank its attacks. Also, she did so much damage it's in the enraged state now. Both its attack and speed just shot up 30%. Great job, Zhao. Just phenomenal. With his attention now on Zhao, Wilmy soars forward to attack her. Luckily, Feng makes it just in time to distract the boss with a Tempest Lightning Flash. While he draws its attention, he orders Zhao to retreat. With his high agility, he'll keep the boss busy while the others regroup. Wilmy attacks with its claws, hitting Feng's guard and pushing him back. While he regains his footing, the bunny boss leaps into the air and falls towards him once more with the claw attack. When Feng survives this, Wilmy starts spinning around like a damn Beyblade and launches its special move, Death Tornado. As the Twister makes contact with Feng's defense, Bai jumps in to help him out. With a kick to the face, she pushes Wilmy back. Xiao heals the party while Wilmy sits back. Feng realizes it's entered the fatigue state. At his instruction, the whole party move is one and hit Wilmy with everything they've got. This is their chance to finish things, and so they do. All their attacks come together in a massive explosion that blows Wilmy all the way to hell. While the party starts celebrating, Feng is quick to warn them. Before anything else, they need to drink their recovery potions. Wilmy was just the first boss. The next and final one is going to try surprise attacking them. But since they know it's coming, they'll get the drop on it and jump the poor bastard. Just like Feng expected, a chieftain rank werewolf ferret spawns in the field next. Unexpectedly for the werewolf, though, the players in front of it have the look of terrifying predators. Leaping forwards as one, their teamwork finally established, the party jumped the werewolf like a tourist in West London. With the werewolf ferret's defeat, a ton of loot drops appear, all the high class. As per their agreement, Bai tells Feng that he and the guys can take the first pick of the loot. They happily go on to do just that. Feng gets a blueprint for an armor set along with a new weapon, armor, and other things. Hazy gets a whole new outfit, a pair of gauntlets, and the skill Hell Flame. Lastly, Lonely learns the skill Whirlwind Slash and gains a new greatsword, a perfect weapon for his tank class. As they all examine their new equipment, Zhao watches from a distance. She's convinced she was right about these guys. They've probably taken all the good stuff for themselves and left nothing for them. She was right all along. They're no different from everyone else who had their own motives. Geez, woman, take a breath at least. To both her and Bai's shock, Feng leaves a highly precious potion recipe among other equipment for the ladies. See, maybe don't judge so quick. When she asks him why he'd do that, Feng just tells her they all played a really important part in clearing the dungeon as well. Zhao is stunned by his honest and just actions. Outside the portal to the Deathly Forest, several parties can be seen arguing over which guild will clear the dungeon first. Too late, boys, already happened. A massive notification pops up over the portal congratulating Yi Feng and his party for being the first ones to clear the dungeons. All the players nearby are left in a state of disbelief. Yi Feng's party step through the portal and out of the forest, each clad in brand new high-level gear. While watching crowd stews in jealousy, Bai extends an offer to Feng. If he wishes, he's welcome to join her guild, Ouroboros. Feng simply says that he's too used to playing solo to join a guild just right now. Bai respects his decision and invites him to a dungeon raid in 3 days' time instead. A 20-man raid to be precise, being held by her guild. Feng asks her if her guild can really manage that. After all, only players over level 5 can enter the dungeon she's talking about. Though he says this, Feng knows the truth quite well. Ouroboros isn't just some average guild. They're a whole conglomerate in the real world that have their reach extending into all sorts of industries and even VR games. If anyone can manage to collect the needed players, they definitely can. With the promise to see each other again when the time comes, Feng and Bai add each other as friends and part ways. Once the ladies leave, Feng and his boys have a whole new challenge of their own to face. A horde of jealous, rabid fanboys, with the entire crowd of players chasing after them. Feng, Hei, and Lonely run for their lives. In the Dark Moon Valley, Feng and his team can be seen outside the dungeon portal. Since everyone's still focused on the level 2 Deathly Forest, nobody's here at this level 4 dungeon. They're the only players here. Well, almost the only ones. To their surprise, a huge man in a set of battered armor comes running their way from the distance. Feng instantly recognizes him. This is Tyrant Bear, a player who goes on to become the 15th strongest guardian knight of the kingdom in the future, after getting kicked out of some third-rate guild early in the game. He joins the Radiant Stars Guild, changes his whole character, and becomes incredibly famous and powerful. If Feng can get him on his side now, he'll have an invaluable ally later on once he reaches his true potential. While he was thinking all this, Lonely and Hei learn that this player's been tanking whole mobs out here by himself. Impressed by his survival ability, they advise Feng to invite him into their party. Way ahead of you boys. Feng's already sent the invitation and accepted him into the party. After joining, Bear then asks if his friend can join as well since they're missing a healer. As an Oracle class, his friend can fill that spot for them. Solid negotiator too. He'll be a great addition. Feng decides to accept this Oracle. He's revealed to be a childlike player named Drowsy Sloth. With their new members added, the party step into the portal to enter the dungeon. Inside, they face off against mobs of level 3, gnomes. Could have sworn those look like goblins, but okay. Bear uses the skill of his Taunt to keep all the enemies focused purely on him. With the mob blind to the other party members, Lonely and Hei both strike out with their skills. With a Whirlwind Slash and a Burst of Hellfire respectively, they wipe out scores of the little creatures. Meanwhile, Feng is in his own world, cutting every single enemy in his path down like a lawn mower to grass. Once the mobs are defeated, the party are overjoyed to find the ridiculously high amounts of loot they've dropped. Their excitement doesn't last very long, however. Suddenly, the sky goes dark as a shadow comes over them all. From up above, a massive robot crashes to the ground with a gnome in its controls. A level 5 hazard gnome. This is a sudden event that has a low chance of appearing when the known mobs are killed. It's an extremely high difficulty boss for one specific reason. It has the passive ability to ignore 95% of the damage it takes, and I thought Feng had hacks. What the actual shit? Worried by this boss's appearance, Hazy turns to Feng for a plan. What he doesn't expect, though, is for Feng to be just as panicked as the rest of them. With a disturbed look on his face, Feng turns to his party and screams out a single order: run.